For you to get clients in your lawn care landscaping business, you're going to have to invest one of two things. You're either going to have to invest money or you're going to have to invest time. There is just no way around that. But if you're watching this video, I have a good feeling you're probably not necessarily looking to invest a whole lot of money right now. So I'm going to be showing you a few ways you can utilize your time and invest your time to attract quality clients and to really just build a system that can continue to attract quality clients for years to come. So let's get right into it. Starting off, when we talk about paid ads, what are we talking about? We're talking about things like Google and Facebook ads, which can work amazing. And if you have the budget for that, I recommend it. They get you clients on demand, essentially, as long as there is demand for your services and everything being seasonal. You don't want to advertise for out-of-season services. But they work great. Now, I also want to say that if you don't know what you're doing and you're setting them up yourself, they can also be a money hole. Google and Facebook, at the end of the day, are businesses and they want to make money. So they'll take your money whether you know what you're doing or not. And then also, on top of that, traditional marketing things like door hangers, postcards, mailers, that kind of falls in the paid ad category as well, because it's a form of media that you have to continuously financially invest in to see results. Now, that's not what we're going to be focused on today, because like I said, we're going to be focusing on the things that don't take much, if any, financial investment up front. Now, the reason I say free-ish is because you can get started with these things without any financial investment up front. But in reality, if you're going to be in business long enough, at some point, you're going to need to invest financially into these systems to really maximize your results. But starting off, the first thing that you need to be doing if you're not is posting on social media. Now, you may already be doing this, and that's great. But there's a couple things that I see social media doing for landscaping businesses. Number one, kind of like when I started my landscaping business, I use it as a way to get found by new people and to attract new clients. Shared posts to my local community, local network, and got first few clients that way. That's kind of just what we relied on for the first 2-3 years. I mean, we didn't necessarily grow massively, but it kind of was just accelerated word of mouth, so to speak. But the other thing that I see social media being very valuable for, this is kind of when it comes more into actually having to invest some money into it. But if you are able to create quality content that provides value in education and connects with your audience on more of a personal level, like when they see you on their Facebook feed talking about landscaping, the landscaping project they did, a project walkthrough, whatever, they're not only seeing you consistently and you're staying in front of them, but they're also connecting with you. Like, people want to work with people, and when they see your face or your team's face on your social media, they're going to feel like they have more of a connection with you, especially if they see you and your team consistently. So when it comes time to hire you, they're way more likely to go with you. But also, people who are already in the sales process, who may not even follow you on Facebook or Instagram, they're going to be doing the research. Because if you're giving out a bid for a $250,000 backyard project, they're going to be doing their research to make sure that they choose a company that they can trust. That's a chunk of change, and they want to make sure they're getting a backyard that's going to last the test of time. So they're probably going to look at your website, but they're also going to look at your social media. And if you have content on there that can kind of reassure them that you do this every day, you know what you're doing, your projects last, and they just are great backyard spaces, then they're more likely to work with you. Now, that's all I'm going to cover on social media for now. Easy to do. You can do it for free. If you really want to invest in it, you can invest in some higher quality content and equipment. But what I really want to focus on today is Google. Now, you may already be doing some things with Google and SEO to get found on Google, but I really want to just encapsulate everything here that you can do on Google for free-ish with SEO. So at the end of the day, you can do all the SEO yourself and not have to spend a penny. However, realistically, you're a landscape business owner. Like, you're going to probably want to pay for some of these things to be done, just because it can be time consuming and it's not the best use of your time. But let's dive into it. Starting off with how SEO works. The biggest misconception I see and hear from people is that they think that SEO works kind of like ads. Whereas with like Google ads, you give Google money, they'll show your ad. As soon as you stop giving them money, they're going to stop showing your ad. Same thing with Facebook. Whereas with SEO, it doesn't quite work that way. Let's say you're doing your SEO, you're creating content, you're building backlinks, whatever, for 3 months or so. And you may not actually see any results in those first 3 months. But come month 4, if you stick with it, you may start to see some results. And then month 5, you sticking with it, you start to see more results. And then month 6, you start to see more and more results. It compounds on top of itself. So you're really building more of an asset that you can utilize to attract people rather than just spending money to pay for that top position on Google. You're building up an asset and investing into an asset that Google is going to see as a reputable company, and they want to show you at the top without having to invest any money. So it's kind of like fixing up a house. Your website, you have your website, and the more you work on it, the more you fix it up, the more you optimize it, the more returns you'll get from it. And kind of like I just hinted at, but your SEO just revolves around your website. So if you don't have a website, SEO is not an option, essentially. So you have to have a website, because at the end of the day, SEO is just making optimizations to your website to communicate to Google what you do, where you service, and that you're a reputable company that they should be showing to their searchers. At the end of the day, Google is a business, and they want their users to have a good experience. So in order for Google users to have a good experience, they want to be able to solve and answer their problems. Someone's going to Google looking for a landscaper, and the first landscaper that shows up doesn't call them back or doesn't answer anything. They call the second one, and they don't call back or answer, and the third one, same thing. They're not going to be having a good experience with Google, and they're just going to go to Facebook next time they need a landscaper, or they're going to go to talk to their friends. They're not going to trust Google to be a reliable source to find a company to work with. So Google wants to show only the best companies that they believe are the best companies, so that they can provide a good experience. So we're doing those optimizations to communicate to Google that we are a relevant company and a quality company. And then, like I kind of mentioned earlier, it's just one of those things that takes time to see results. And honestly, it relies pretty heavily on your competition. Like if you're in a small area like me, when I started taking my SEO seriously for my own landscaping business, I'm in a small town of 2,500. There's nobody else in town who was doing hardly anything for SEO. So all I had to do was come in, do the little things right, and I was able to dominate the Google search results. I was first for like everything I wanted to be, and it was easy. However, if you're in a larger metropolitan area with hundreds of landscapers, it's going to take some time, take a lot of effort to rank at the top because you're competing with everybody in the area. So it takes time to see results, and it's really heavily dependent on your competition. If your competition is low, it'll be easier. If you got a lot of competition, it's going to take more time and effort. So 3 main factors we're going to be looking at. Going to get more into this a little bit here in a little bit, but it's technical, just making sure everything's technically set up right on your website and your presence. You want to make sure your content is relevant to the services that you provide in the area you provide them in, and then also just building up your authority. Different ways to show Google that you are an authoritative presence and that you are a company that can be trusted. So from there, we're going to dive into the 2 different types of SEO. And starting off, we're going to start with local SEO. Now, no matter what size company you are, you need to be doing this just because it's pretty much free. You can do all these things without having to pay a penny. And it's also potentially the most impactful form with how Google's starting to work. Because if you ever search landscaper near me on Google, the first thing you're going to see most likely is going to be a map and then 3 businesses listed out in that local area that offer the service that you searched for. So in order to show up in that map pack with those 3 businesses as one of those 3 businesses, you have to have a Google business profile. If you don't already have one, right after this video, go set it up. You can go like google.com/business, get that set up. It can be a little bit of a process to get verified, but just give them what they need, and it'll 100% be worth it. Because once you get your profile set up, then you can go ahead and, or once you get your profile verified, you can get everything set up. Make sure you categorize your business properly. I've worked with landscapers before who have their main category as a lawn care service, and that's just not relevant to them. Maybe it was 10 years ago, but they never changed it, so now it's not relevant anymore. And then on top of that, fill everything out, make sure it's accurate, add a website, because Google is going to also be scanning the content on that website, wants to make sure that the content on that website is relevant in terms of the service and the service area. But then also, when you write your company description, be mindful of the services that you provide and the area you provide them in. Because if you include, like, for example, like Chicago mowing or something in your description, one way or another, obviously make it flow, make it make sense. But Google's going to realize that. It comes back up here to the content. What content are you giving Google to analyze, and is it relevant to what people are going to be searching? People are going to be searching for mowing companies in Chicago, or at least the Chicago area. So that's why you want to include your town and your main services in all of your main content pieces. So like your website and your description. So moving on from there, you got your profile set up. You're using keywords in your website and your description. Now, the second most important thing behind having a Google business profile is getting reviews. Like I said before, Google wants to showcase the best companies to their users so that they can provide a good user experience. One of the easiest ways for Google to do this is to analyze companies based on their reviews. They're going to choose the companies with higher star ratings. They're going to choose companies with more reviews, because 500 5-star reviews is a lot better than one 5-star review. They're also going to choose companies that get reviews more frequently, but also companies that have reviews with content that connects to the services that were provided. So, for example, if you did mulch installation for someone and they include that in the review, then when somebody is on Google searching for mulch installation, I mean, it's not guaranteed, but you have a higher likelihood of showing up when you have a review talking about mulch installation, your website talks about mulch installation, your business description talks about mulch installation, and you've got quality reviews. You have a higher likelihood to show up when someone is searching mulch installation on Google, just because it sees the content, and you have that authority built through your reviews. And then kind of diving further into the content, you can actually post content directly on your Google business profile. Not everybody does this. A lot of people don't actually. I don't think a lot of people realize you can do this. But you can make posts on your Google business profile. Quite honestly, not a lot of people are going to see them. Some will, so make sure that they look good and the content sounds good. But at the end of the day, this is mainly for Google, once again, just providing more content and more context on what services we provide and what areas we provide them in. Because when people are searching for specific services in specific areas, most people aren't going to have super specific content towards that. So if we can be more specific with our content and have content targeting specific services in specific areas, we're more relevant to that search, and Google is more likely to show your company. And then lastly, we're going to be looking at citations. So this is kind of ties into the authority. Google wants to see that you are relevant across the internet. So essentially a citation is just a listing of your business information on like a directory of some sort. So like a Google business profile is technically like a citation. Your Facebook page, your Yelp profile, your Instagram page. Just make sure that all of your business information is listed on those and that it's consistent. But then also you can use a platform like BrightLocal to actually pay for them to go out and build you like 100, 200 citations. You don't really need more than 150, 200. The main goal with these citations is just to show Google that the information that you gave them is correct. And then also that you're well known, so to speak, on the internet, and other companies are talking about you. So that is the general gist of local SEO. Set up your profile. Make sure you're using keywords into your content when creating your profile. Think about the main city and services that you provide. get reviews, get them consistently, and just never stop asking for reviews. Post content whenever you post something on social media. Also post it on your Google Business profile. And then lastly, build up those citations to further boost your profile's authority. Now, that's local SEO. You can pretty much do that for free. If you pay for citations, it'll probably be a couple $100, but it's nothing in the grand scheme of things. But once you do that, you can kind of then transition more into traditional SEO. So that's what we're going to be looking at here. This is more of just like the regular links you see. So as I mentioned, with the local SEO, that's the Google Business Profile. You see a map, you see 3 businesses, you have to have a Google Business Profile to show up there. However, below that map pack, you're going to have just regular website links. So that's where traditional SEO comes in. There's 3 main things we really focus on with traditional SEO. Obviously, there's a bunch of technical things that go into this, but these are the main things. Number 1, user experience and load speed. This ties in with the technical. The website needs to be technically sound. It needs to provide a good user experience. Because once again, Google wants to provide a good user experience. So if Google sees that someone's clicking on your website and then they don't like what they see and they just click off right away, Google's not going to want to show your website to anybody. And same thing with load speed. If they click on your website and then they just they click off right away because it's not loading, then Google doesn't want to show your website for that either. So you got to make sure you provide a good user experience. People can get the information that they need. You can keep them on your page, but also just make sure it loads quick. Like I said, a lot of technical back-end stuff goes into that, but it's very important. And it's not super hard, especially with modern page builders and speed optimization tools. But user experience, load speed, very important. Number 2 is keyword targeting. So this is essentially kind of like I talked about on the local SEO side, is just using keywords that people are searching on Google in your content. So when we build websites for clients, we like to build typically about like 40, 50 pages on like our big ones that are all targeting a specific service or a specific city or town. Because if let's say you are providing mowing services in the Chicago area. So you've got your homepage, you're talking about Chicago mowing services, but then you also do mulch installation. So then we're also going to create a separate page for Chicago mulch installation, because people who are in Chicago that are looking for mulch installation, your content's going to be more relevant to them. So Google's more likely to show that content versus your original page that's just about Chicago mowing. It's not really relevant to mulch installation. So then we do the same thing with like different suburbs and towns that our clients service. Let's say you also do Naperville mowing. So we'll have a Naperville mowing page and then a Naperville mulch installation page. So we can target that separate city with more services. And you really can only target one main search term per page. It's really hard to target. Like, you can't target mowing and mulch on the same page just because Google isn't going to know what the most important thing is, and they're not going to know they're not going to know the priority of the page, and they want specific content so that they can provide specific solutions to people's specific queries on Google. So that's why keyword targeting is super important. You need to include it places like your page title, your main headline, your subheadlines within your content. But just don't spam it, because at the end of the day, people, like real people, are going to be visiting your website, and you want to provide a good user experience. Once again, you don't just want to be like, our Chicago mowing company provides Chicago mowing services in Chicago. Like, it's just, no, don't do that. Like, you just put it in your main headline, put it in your subheadlines, sprinkle it throughout your content, and you'll be fine. You can, if your website's on Yoast, or if your website is on WordPress, you can use a tool like Yoast to help you with that. And then lastly, coming down to authority, this is where we look at link building. This is kind of like what I was talking about with citations, but it's more just getting your website listed on different articles across the internet. Because once again, let's look at it from Google's perspective. We've got 2 landscapers. We've got you and your competition. Your competition is listed in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, whatever, like all of the big news outlets, big authoritative websites. They're listed on those websites one way or another. Now, let's look at you, who is listed on your brother's roofing company or something, like as a partner company. Like you've just got one simple backlink from your brother's website and that's it. Who do you think Google is going to see as a more authoritative presence? They're going to pick your competition because they're listed on a bunch of high authority websites. So that's what we do with link building. We find high authority websites that we can get featured either in articles one way or another, or just get a link back to your website. Because at the end of the day, Google will deny it, but that's one of the biggest ways that they determined your website's authority, and also like topical relevance. Like you don't just want to get links from topically like websites and pages that aren't topically relevant. Like you don't want to get a link from medical websites when you're a landscaper. Like it just doesn't make sense, and Google's going to see that and flag it as spam. So you do want to be careful with that as well. What I would recommend is just going to a platform like RhinoRank. You can just buy individual backlinks, and if it's kind of one of those things that you just want to set up, assuming your website loads fast, assuming you've got some decent keyword targeting, you've got a handful of good pages with content. If you just want to buy 1 or 2 links a month, $200-$300, you can just kind of build that into your recurring monthly bills, and it's not something that you're really going to see direct results from fast, but give it a year, give it 2 years. You'll be extremely surprised with the amount of reach you'll be able to get by building up your website's authority. So that's a general overview of how SEO works and kind of what we do for our clients to get them found on Google. Now, at the end of the day, I understand you're a landscaper, not a marketer, and this is probably a little bit over your head on some of these topics. So that's where it kind of comes into, you can do some of this stuff for free up front, but eventually you get to a point where you're just going to either want to invest in just hiring someone else to do it for you, or to kind of speed up the process. But just to show you that this works, here's one of our clients that we have implemented this process on. As you can see, before we really did any work with them, they were getting pretty much no traffic way back here. And as you can see, we start to slowly see results over time. And we went from like literally no organic traffic to their website up to probably looking at about 50, 60 visitors per day. Just think about what that could do for your business, getting 50 to 60 new people visiting your website every day by getting found on Google. Now, obviously, we've got this spike here, but I think that's just a data irregularity or something. I don't know. And let's look at another client. Same situation, pretty much like maybe 5, 10 visitors a day at best. And with a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, we got that up to, let's see, 45, 50 visitors a day at the most. So that's like 10xing the amount of people that are visiting his website. Kind of, once again, similar situation. This was a bit of a bigger company that we took on. They were getting roughly like 80 visitors a day at most. Really, even during kind of peak season, they were only down probably closer to 40 website visitors a day. Whereas this past spring, we got them up almost 160 visitors a day during peak season, just by doing the things that I just talked about in this video. Creating content for individual services and service areas, building links to boost their authority, making sure their website loads fast and provides a good user experience. All these things add up, and with time, Google recognizes it, and Google will reward you with that by showing you on search results on Google over time. And then, honestly, the last thing about this too is that, like, yes, you can get found on Google, but at the end of the day, you also need to convert those website visitors into leads. So like having a website that ranks on Google is one thing, but it's another having a website that once you get them on your website, you can gain their trust. You look like an authoritative presence, and they trust that you can do what you say you're going to do. But also, you got to be able to convert them into a lead to make it easy for them to contact you. Don't make them jump through a bunch of hoops. Now you can add different form fields and stuff to kind of pre-qualify, but the end of the day, you want to make it obvious on how they're supposed to contact you. So the same, get found by people looking for your services and are ready to hire, gain their trust, the trust of homeowners and property managers, and be able to charge what you're worth. And then also just be able to convert them into leads, not just get them on your website, but convert them into leads who are ready to speak with you specifically. Visit We Are Landscape Legends down below. Me and my team will help you build a website and an SEO marketing system that will help you get found, help you gain the trust of homeowners and property managers, and convert those people into leads for your lawn care landscaping business.